Okay, it's Uncle Don here talking to you again about schizophrenia. So, haven't had schizophrenia since was being diagnosed as having schizophrenia since 1997. I had a lot of experience with being having schizophrenia and the challenges that people with schizophrenia face each day. Each time we go out, each time they deal with people, each time we make an effort in life. And I wanted to talk today about because my last video I said about having all consciousness, and it's important to realise that. As a person with schizophrenia, I have delusions or associations that I make with what I'm putting across or how I'm relating to the world. And this video is just a little concentration for people to be able to see into my head. Perhaps that the heads of schizophrenia is people with schizophrenia collectively. So yeah, I spoke about conscious and how the conscious or our brains use electricity to send messages in the brain to move hands or to process thoughts, etc., etc. So, having the conscious, and with me talking about consciousness, I also came into contact with conscientiousness. So there's conscientious. So it's an extension of your conscious, and we can see that conscious is a thing that's our world. So in our conscious, where we soak up the world and we relate to it. So when we find people who wants to, or predatory people, as my schizophrenic delusions would have it, that some people might like to make you conscientious, but it's important not to accuse these people, because ideally these people who these people who make us conscientious are only subjects to the matter that is conscious. So we should relate through this conscientiousness in a way that is functional and that is going to be able to let those people, should they be, because let's face it, we've got a brain that goes like this. It's got one's going one way, one's going the other way. It's like schizo, there's two of the mind, and it's like it's fighting itself. And when it's fighting itself, it's going to kill you, man. It's a disease. Schizophrenia is a disease, and it will kill you if you don't know how to let these how to let these opposing energies bring light, because it's like a generator, and with this energy that's working against itself, if you want to tap in and say, okay, I'm this way, then it's the other way. So that you're fighting, but if you can step back and say, okay, I can see this is conscious, this is consciousness, and this situation is making me conscientious. So what's the pinpoint? What's the place where we need to be when we're conscientious? We need to be in a place that says these people are destructive to me, and I need to get away from them. So if you can, um, just remove yourself from that place, and make sure that you don't try to fight your way out by just like, okay, I've had enough of this, I'm going somewhere else, and then you'll find that this disease has got to recenter, and while this disease is recentering, you can bring a functional repose. Yeah, it's a it's a it's a bastard. Schizophrenia is a real bastard because there's so many of us that just ends up dead. That it's just not fair, and there's a lot of people out there who we think are part of the reason we want to die, and these people are people who is trying to live their lives, and what they're doing is 9 times out of 10, probably most of the time, probably all the time, I don't know. They're not even talking about us. They're not even talking about anything to do with us. But it's this consciousness, and this conscientiousness that we take to heart, that can defeat us if we don't allow it to generate, which is what it wants to do. It's like if they were both going this way, we'd be like a train, we're like on a railroad track, like a drug addict headed straight for death, and it wouldn't mean anything to anybody. It would be just like, yeah, there's a fucking drug addict, he's going to die, who cares? But when we shift to this consciousness, become conscientious, and incorporate on having a conscience and employ this energy, when we can find that it's no longer a train like this. It's like it's like this. One's going clockwise, anti-clockwise, and one's going clockwise. So that's the tool of your mind. Schizophrenia is like that. It's working against itself. Working. So a lot of the time, I find in a conversation, somebody says something, and I will deliberately take the opposing something that maybe challenges, but it's pretty much it's the opposite. It's like an alternative, or taking an alternative perspective. Now this is kind of like on autism, because this alternative perspective, if we employ it properly, we can help humanity as a whole, or we can just help ourselves, or we can. But we need to realise that it's an alternative, because it's going like this. This is the way everybody else goes, and this is the way schizophrenia goes. Normally, we want to go the way everybody else goes, but schizophrenia is going this way. So we're going to come up with an alternative, and this alternative perspective, we don't always have a chance to talk about it, or we don't always have a chance to say it, or we don't always have a chance to have an input, because of our dysfunctional approaches. Some people say, "You crazy?" Yeah, this guy he was saying the other day, we come up with some totally dysfunctional stuff. We need to steer away from that, because that's like the train. You're headed straight to a goal where everybody else can see. And I say, well, similar to a drug addict, is going to die because of drugs for whatever reason, because he's driving on drugs, or because he takes an overdose of drugs. Something's going to make that you're going there. That's all the rest of it. But with this alternative, I think that it's important to somehow express um, this alternative perspective, and I find that a lot of times when schizophrenia is involved, a lot of people who has schizophrenia has issues with religion, and it can we're probably prone to religious sects and fall victim to cults and that sort of thing, because we're looking for answers concerning our alternative perspective, and a lot of the time the cults have alternative ways of life. So yeah. Schizophrenia. There's people was talking about mental health lately. They're putting all this money into it and trying to help people with a mental illness to be able to do something and feel like they're part of it all. And it's a good thing that they do, because we need to get some alternative points of view out there, especially when it comes to the way the world is, because of this, the way that the world is, because they say that the money can't keep getting printed. It can't keep printing money. The religions can't keep telling us Jesus is coming. We can't keep, like Islam or whatever, they can't keep fighting wars. What are they going to do when all the wars are fought? What do they do with the Quran then? Buddhism, you can attain a certain amount of a certain level of understanding, but you still need to be able to put that understanding, employ it somehow, make it, or be able to not advantageous, but need to be able to you need to be able to use that wisdom. If you can't use it, there's no point in trying to and learning all this stuff. So yeah, I think that's pretty much it for today. I don't want to sort of leave everybody in the lurch about learning, but more so on my future videos that are going to be about, well, at the moment, so maybe some people who's got schizophrenia, who are wondering about how to relate to the world. There may be some people who's interested on how schizophrenics relate to the world through videos on YouTube and that sort of thing. So yeah, I would like to next time maybe touch on some of the things what I've learnt about religion, and not how it's wrong, because we should all be thankful for religion, making education, making the world a place where you can learn. I think a lot of times in the past, or it's been a place where it's chest beating and fighting, and when you're the toughest one, you get what you want, and you get your pick of the, like nature is. So I see my fish in a fish tank. The bossiest male in there has got his choice of the female, and his choice of the food. He gets his food first. He gets his choice of the females, and that's because he's the dominant one in there. And I think that nature is what intelligent people were challenging, because a lot of the time it's just stupid. It's like as a nation of people, you are much stronger than you are as an individual male who is dominant. And we're all voting for some president to or prime minister to govern the infrastructure. That's not. A lot of people get sucked into it. They think it's about the person. But those prime ministers and stuff like that, that's what they're doing. They're governing the infrastructure. The infrastructure, that's like the buildings, the services, the roads. So they're doing all that. And a lot of people get sucked in by this rebelliousness, and subsequently they subject themselves to lawlessness, and a lot of the time they will get sucked into using drugs. And I have to push that point because it's very prevalent, and it goes all the way across the whole lot of people. It's not just these people or those people or some people over here or some people over there. It's across the whole lot. If you're going to identify with these people, then you subject yourself to these influences, as I understand it at this point in time. So yeah, well, I guess I'm going to touch on some pretty heavy subjects that I want to try and leave people smiling with a laugh, and there's a lot to be happy about, because I think there's a lot in the future for people when it comes to transparency, not only in politics but also in religion and other parts of the infrastructure that are supporting just your social thing. Which you're probably going to find that on eBay, not eBay. You're probably going to find that on Facebook and other social networks, YouTube. So it's really looking like it's going to be a better place in the future for everybody, especially people who are willing to be honest and get it out in the open what it is they're going through. Because if you're going to shut up about it and you're just going to be like, oh, I'm not saying nothing about this, I'm fucking in my head, it's all crazy, I'm just going to be angry and I'm going to destroy something, and I don't care, because that there, as you employ a whole group of a whole lot of people. You've got doctors, lawyers, institutions, jails. They all employ all these people to take care of this dysfunction. And I'm not saying it to try and put people out of a job. I'm trying to put it into a position where people's in the job that they want to do, people in a job who can relate to the people they're working with. And I think as a person with schizophrenia, it's important, so important, to keep yourself clean, off the drugs, not get too drunk. Probably in a lot of cases, don't get drunk at all, at least for a few years, until you're in the company of people who don't get drunk. Then that's probably a good way to build a foundation, once that's some solid ground you can stand on it and say, this is where I stand. Because there's no point it's very easy for the big bad wolf to come in and blow your house down if you're not solid in where you're at. So yeah, and we can see in a lot of places that we should have righteousness. It's like don't get drunk, don't get high, at least not too high. Don't get off the fuck. Don't get off. Don't get too far off the track, because you got to get off the track to go and have a camp, but don't make your home there where you're camping. It's probably not a good place to. It's probably not a good place to stay by the side of the river if it rains. So yeah. On that note, I think I'll is go and have a good evening, a good day, and a good life.